A belief is the acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists based on a primal and instinctive state of mind deriving from a person's personal circumstances, mood, or relationship with others. Beliefs have little to do with actual science, and they don't require the scientific method or inductive reasoning. A belief is based on anthropocentrism and a person's personal pain, pleasure, reward, and punishment superimposed over an objective reality based on mechanics, heat, light, radiation, sound, electricity, magnetism, and the structure of atoms. However, science does use multi-valued logic, Dempster-Shafer theory, or probability theory with rules for inferences such as Bayes' rule or Bayes' theorem. Science uses systematic observations, measurements, experiments, and apparatuses to test and modify hypotheses. This is more than a mere belief touted out by the layman pushing a theistic, defeatist, atheistic, conservative, nihilistic, liberal, libertarian, socialist, or anthropocentric agenda used to mask their hidden desires. A belief from the layman doesn't require the modification of their hypothesis based on Bayes' theorem. As a matter of fact, neuroscientists Jonas T. Kaplan, Sarah Gimbel, and Sam Harris of UCLA used functional magnetic resonance imaging to show that greater belief resistance showed an increased fMRI response in the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex and decreased activity in the orbital frontal cortex. The dorsomedial prefrontal cortex functions are morality judgments, empathy, decision-making, altruism, fear, and anxiety. The orbital frontal cortex is involved in encoding inferred values and the cognitive process of decision-making. These neuroscientists also found that participants who changed their minds more showed less fMRI activity in the insula and amygdala when evaluating counterevidence. The insula's functions include compassion, empathy, self-awareness, cognitive function, and interpersonal experience. The amygdala's functions are defensive aggression, emotion, intrinsic motivation, and fear. Now, some of you watching this video may scoff at the fMRI data presented here based on your belief in mind-body dualism, which is the non-empirical philosophy that mental phenomena are immaterial or non-physical, or that the mind and body are distinct and separable. But let's be honest, mind-body dualism isn't testable, and your belief in mind-body dualism is based on fear of death or an eschatological pursuit of pleasure and sensual self-indulgence. So be wary when you hear anyone say, "I believe," rather than "I infer," because more often than not, what they are saying is an emergent property of emotions and neurological disorders rather than rigorous inferences, systematic observations, measurements, and experiments that are used to test and modify hypotheses.